Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Today, we're going to be taking a look at some content from Classy Fatty Babe, where she proclaims that thin people need to stay out of the discussion when it comes to size-based oppression. We recently reached a 10,000 subscriber milestone. I would like to thank each and every one of you for subscribing. If you like my longer videos, I uploaded one yesterday that was about 30 minutes long and it didn't get a lot of traction, so check it out here. I'm sorry if you can hear my air conditioner in the background, it's very hot here. This is Rocco. Rocco, who's a good boy? Are you a good boy? Alright, I don't know if he's a good boy or not. He literally didn't even respond. So, let us proceed with the applying of comb to mustache. Okay. Are you classy and fatty, or just a babe?
So there's something I really want to talk about, and before y'all get upset, I'm not driving. Say hi, Marvin.
Hi. And then Marvin was like looking at his phone or something. Isn't that hilarious? Hold on, let's go back. Yeah, it's a good thing that you're not driving. That would be unsafe. Good thing Marvin is driving, and he's got his attention on the road there. His eyes right here seem to be looking down to right about here, and I see a cord hanging out the bottom of his hand that is undoubtedly connected to a phone. Bruh. She's all like, as you can see, Marvin is driving. She pans the camera over to Marvin, and then he's like looking down at his phone, and then like, oh god, and he looks up and crashes. Oh, Marvin. Ah, jeez, Marvin, what are you doing?
Say hi, Marvin.
Hi.
Yeah, stop looking at your damn phone and pay attention to this instead. Don't pay attention to the road. Go from looking at your phone to looking at me and then looking back at your phone.
Every single time a fat person posts on this app about our oppression or our eating disorders or...
People laugh when you post about your oppression? Is that the response that you normally get? People are like, what are you talking about? You're oppressed. You ate yourself into whatever way that you are.
When we ask thin people to stay out of discussions around size-based oppression...
Bruh.
Thin people need to stay out of discussions around size-based oppression. How many discussions do you have around size-based oppression? Where are these parties? How do I get invited to these, man? Jeez, I only get invited to stupid shit like people partying and whatnot. I want to get invited to the round table about size-based oppression. Is this why you don't want thin people in the discussion? Because I just start laughing. They're like, alright, welcome to the round table discussion about size-based oppression. Cynical dude, we're gonna come to you first. And then the camera pans to me and I'm just like, what the fuck? And then they're just like, you could tell you get that look from these fat activists a lot, like no matter what you do. Instead of them laughing at the damn joke and getting it, they would just be like give you a slow blink. And why can't thin people be there, huh? Oh yeah, because of all the laughing, that's why.
They are here to support us. We always get the same kinds of response. It's always thin people saying, well, thin people are insecure too. Thin people have eating disorders too.
We can't have those thin people bringing that stuff up. We need to feel special. We're the only ones that are oppressed, dang it. Well, I mean, we are special in the sense that we're the only ones that did it to ourselves and then claimed oppression, I suppose.
I assure you, every single one of us is painfully aware of that.
Painfully aware. Are you sure that's what the pain is? Are you sure it's not joint pain? And the general malaise of being discontent in your body? Sorry for getting all wordy.
Because thin people love to project their insecurities onto us.
I do. I really do. I feel like I need to calm down on the carbs and the sugar, so I actually go out there and tell you guys to calm down on it. Perhaps some people are projecting their insecurities onto you, but to make a blanket statement like, anytime thin people are in the discussion, they are projecting their insecurities on us. The only ones projecting insecurities here are you guys, and then creating an echo chamber where only people who agree with you are welcome.
Whenever a thin person is insecure about their body fat or being perceived as fat, that is rooted in fat phobia.
What? So, perceiving your own body in a negative light is rooted in fat phobia. You see, that's where you're wrong. You're allowed to perceive yourself in whatever kind of negative light that you want. That doesn't mean that you have negative intentions toward anybody else. If I think my nails are getting a little too long so I feel like cutting them, I will just cut them. I'm not going to see everybody that has slightly long fingernails and be like, dude, that person needs to go. Wanting to change ourselves to better ourselves is not us projecting any sort of insecurity or malevolence upon the world. It's a completely personal experience that has nothing to do with anyone else. You're perceiving the world through the lens of everything that I do is because of the way people perceive me, and all that I worry about is how I am perceived by others. The rest of us are just living our lives. When we want to lose weight, we do it for us. Maybe we want to be able to climb up the stairs easier or look better in the mirror. It's got nothing to do with you. Nobody hates you because they want to change how they look. In fact, you are the last thing on their mind. Imagine being so self-absorbed that seeing somebody else do something to better themselves makes you think, man, these people hate me. You immediately think about yourself, like, and how it impacts you. These people losing weight is negatively impacting me and how I view myself. Fat phobic is what that is. Like, dog, the only one phobic of anything is you. You're phobic of change. You're phobic of taking a hard look in the mirror.
There's oppression that they perpetuate against us.
Oppression that thin people perpetuate against you. Where are all these thin people that are trying to oppress you? So these thin people that are always trying to oppress you, are they in the room now? Are they here now? Is this one right here? Am I touching one of their hair right now? You need to stop being fat phobic against this girl and oppressing her. Apparently, you're everywhere and you are nowhere. You're omnipresent in this girl's life. Knock it off. All right, he's gone away now. Took care of it for you. Oh, wait, you say the voices are everywhere. Oh, I don't know if I can help with that.
The entire world is catered and built around your existence and your insecurities and your...
It's built around my existence and my insecurities? I don't know, man. That'd be a pretty messed up world. I got some pretty bad issues, dog.
Eating disorders. When fat people are insecure, when we have eating disorders, do you think doctors listen to us?
Oh, yeah, they tell you you need to work on your binge eating disorder, and then you say that they're being violently fat phobic. The only ED that you guys seem to acknowledge are restrictive EDs.
Do you think people around us listen to us? We are prescribed disordered eating behaviors.
Bruh. You mean losing weight? That's not disordered eating. You are prescribed disordered eating. What are you talking about? The doctor says, hey, you need to lose like 60, 80 pounds to be within a healthy weight range so you'll have a much better quality of life and a longer life. And then you're like, what? This is disordered eating. Any sort of intentional weight loss is not disordered eating, my friend. God, that is such a cop-out to call everything disordered eating and just because you don't want to do the work. What about weight gain? What about unintentional weight gain? Is there any sort of disordered eating pattern to that? Like, I don't know, binge eating disorder? For some reason, the only thing that's on the radar of fat acceptance activists are restrictive EDs. Every one of them claims that weight loss is some sort of restrictive ED. Really bizarre. Do you see how people are so easily influenced now? Tess Holliday did it, now they're all doing it. One person claims, hey, I'm this thing, now everybody's doing it and using it as an excuse or using it as a tool to garner attention. If you have no other good qualities going for you, at least be an original person. You may not believe in yourself, but I believe in you. Go be yourself, damn it. Stop being like everybody else all the time. You don't need to fit in with these people. These people are desperate to fit in with you. Be the one that they're following.
On a daily basis. And a lot of times for really serious and even fatal conditions.
Oh my goodness. The look on your face was very concerned, and so was your tone. I better not question you. I feel like this is coming from a genuine place of emotions.
That, when they go untreated, could kill us or result in a really low quality of life.
But not the eating too much and gaining hundreds of excess pounds. That's not going to give you a poor quality of life or negative health outcomes in the slightest. Alright, I had to hear that last part again. Hold on.
Prescribed disordered eating behaviors on a daily basis. And a lot of times for really serious and even fatal conditions. That, when they go untreated, could kill us or result in a really low quality of life.
Okay, so you're prescribed disordered eating patterns to take care of conditions that are fatal if not treated. What do you think the so-called disordered eating that they prescribed you is meant to do? So these oftentimes fatal conditions that obese people have, for some reason unrelated to obesity, doctors often prescribe them disordered eating patterns in order to treat these fatal conditions? And that's the only treatment that they prescribe? So you're telling me that being obese is a fatal condition itself then? Because what they're prescribing you for the obesity is disordered eating, which is what you call intentional weight loss of any sort. Somebody could have the most perfect diet and exercise regime and never slip at all, never binge, never restrict too much, and you guys would call it disordered eating. You know why you refer to that as disordered eating? Because you're not allowed to just indiscriminately eat whatever you want. And anything that lets you not do what you want 100% of the time is some sort of disorder or disease that's getting in your way and holding you back as a human being. We're all trying to hold you back, man. You're trying to live your best life, and then the rest of us, our whole purpose on this planet is just to stop you from getting ahead, and also to oppress you. That's what I do. I go around oppressing people because I got nothing else going on. It's funny that you have a fatal disease and you're prescribed weight loss as something to help treat it. And then you're like, what? How could you prescribe that to me? I have a fatal disease. We need to treat this thing. And they're like, I just gave you a prescription to treat it. The prescription was proper diet and exercise. And then you're like, what? No, I mean pills and surgeries, not things that require me doing stuff. The way that this person speaks also has a very immature tone to it. They're like, and they even did the blah, 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 blah. And then do. Like, it's like just that tone. You're like, blah, 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 like that cry, like just kid that doesn't understand the way the world works. Like, why can't I have $1 million? But you have to work for it, Timmy. But I want it. Right, so does everybody else, and that's why they all have to work for it too, but I want it! It's like, dog, that tone is that of a spoiled, immature brat, madam. Not a good look. But they oppressed me. They oppressed me. Darn it. Me and my fat allies. We're on the forefront of the battle. They oppressed me.
Even when we do get help, we have to put up with your fat phobia.
What do you need help for? To deal with the anti-fat oppression in the world? Dude, okay, why do you need our help for that? Once again, you guys need help with something that you can't take care of yourself. First, you want us to remake the world for you and make it more accessible. And now this.
I have actual trauma. I have nightmares from fat phobia.
Bruh. You have trauma and nightmares from fat phobia. So you were traumatized and you have nightmares from words that somebody said to you. And you're trying to use that as a weapon to shut down people that disagree with things that you say? What does your inability to deal with words that people said to you have to do with this conversation at all? I have trauma. I have nightmares. Okay, you should probably get therapy for those things. I don't know why you're telling me. That has nothing to do with the conversation. Like, we'll be talking about, like, you know, obesity is proven scientifically to be very deadly and bad for your health for everyone involved every single time. And then you're all like, you telling me these facts and hurting my feelers is more harmful than the obesity, which kills millions of people per year. Once again, we're talking about putting feelings over facts, which always results in you getting hurt in a physical way. Anytime you try to disconnect from the world and criticism and go into your safe space, this is harmful for your physical body and your mental body. You may think that nobody ever challenging you is a good thing, but that's actually a very bad thing. You'll never grow as a human being if there's not somebody there to be like, hey man, you're wrong, homie. No, you're wrong. You know, people telling me I'm a moron and I'm a jack-off are what made me grow the most as a human being. 10 out of 10 recommended every time.
That was perpetuated against me in treatment settings from both.
In treatment settings, the fat phobia was perpetuated against you that traumatized you. In treatment settings. So you went to the doctor and they prescribed weight loss to you, and then you went to like what, an outpatient center for weight loss or something, and they tried to help you and then you couldn't stick to it, and now here we are and you're salty about it and you're making these videos proclaiming that they traumatized you, dog. Oh yeah? Do people get traumatized in rehab to kick the habit of drug addiction? Traumatized in a medical setting, dog? What?
Staff and clients. Eating disorders are primarily rooted in trauma. They're
All right, calm down. So what setting were you in where medically you were traumatized and they tried to get you to lose weight or something? It must be what I said, where there was like some sort of outpatient weight loss thing. Your doctor prescribed weight loss to you, and then clearly you were unwilling to follow the program. So they were like, yo, what the heck is going on? You need to do this thing. And you're like, what? I can't. I'm not able. You were just very combative, I can tell.
very few people with eating disorders that haven't been through trauma.
Okay. So do you just want to live in that trauma forever and use that as an excuse for shittiness forever? So do you want that trauma to define you as a person for the rest of your life? As somebody who's been through some fairly traumatic things myself, I can tell you, I used to allow that to define me. Like people on the street be like, oh man, I've been through this, I've been through that. And in my mind, I'm like, dude, you ain't been through shit, dog. Like, what you've been through isn't half of what I've been through, and you're crying twice as much. That's what I would think in my mind. And I realized that mind state, while valid in certain ways, was only harming me. It was like I was the biggest victim and nobody could out-victim me. Like, none of you have had as much trauma as me, dog. Like, and then I was like, wait a minute, I'm viewing the world through that lens. Like, I'm the guy that has the most trauma out of any of you. None of you can beat me, dude. And therefore, I am the one who is allowed to complain. So we all need to stop doing that. I've stopped doing that. I don't bring up any negative stuff from my past or anything. I'm just a guy who exists right now. Sometimes people want to know about like where you're coming from and what you've been through, and in those instances it's appropriate to bring it up or whatever. Once you have confronted the trauma enough and grown past it, you'll stop identifying with it. Once you have learned the lessons that the trauma has to teach and confronted it inside of your own mind and taken the stance of this wasn't my fault, this bad thing happened, yada yada yada, and taken all the steps necessary to move on from it, then you can stop viewing the world from that point of view and you have truly conquered it. See, a lot of people are hell-bent in living in the past and viewing the world from their previous victim status instead of moving forward and becoming someone who is no longer a victim, and that is a terrible way of being. If you ever want to be free, you will stop associating with all these labels and all of these traumas that define you in a negative light. If you want to be free, you will just be you, with no labels attached. If you want to be free, you have to leave the trauma in the past and look to the future for who you want to become. Human beings should always be evolving. If you're the same person that you were 2 years ago, you're stagnating, motherfucker. If you still like the same music that you liked 10 years ago, you're stagnating, motherfucker.
No one trauma is more or less valid than another.
And none of them are valid for anyone except the person who experienced it. So keep it to yourself.
However, thin people, you can heal and recover from yours. You can move on and find spaces that are safe for you. Fat people don't have that privilege.
Bruh. What? Okay, so all of the ways that I just described in which a person can heal and move on from trauma, none of that shit applies to fat people, homie. They can't do all of the things that I just detailed. They just can't do it. Like, straight up, she was like, yeah, thin people can heal. Thin people can confront all their issues, move on, and grow as a human being. Hell yeah. All the normal stuff. All the normal stuff that is part of being a human being on this planet and growing as a human being, thin people can do it. Fat people can't do that shit. Okay. Yeah, not with that attitude. Why? Why can't fat people do all that stuff? Because thin people are holding you down or something? You can't heal from your trauma, which is a personal problem that you need to deal with in your own mind because of stuff that people outside of you are doing. Because Bob over there thinks or feels or says a certain thing, I can't heal from my trauma. Alright, man. Well, I guess you can't heal from anything then. I guess you're just a leaf caught in an updraft in this world. You have no direction. You are a boat without a rudder, my friend. And somehow that's our fault.
Fat phobia is a form of trauma.
Okay. People saying words to you can be traumatizing, sure. But some people have been in wars and stuff and like seen their best friend's brains blown out right next to them. So fat phobia is akin to trauma in your eyes. When you put it that way, I'm imagining people like chasing you down the street, like whipping you or something and be like, squeal like a pig, you disgusting subhuman filth, like throwing a beer can at the back of your head as they drive by. Do you know what the movie that's from? But in all actuality, the fat phobia that you're referring to are people in the comments being like, I disagree. I think the BMI is perfectly valid. That's your idea of fat phobia. For you to compare that to actual trauma, like I said, people have been in wars and stuff, seeing their best friend's brains blown out right next to them. For you to call what you've been through the same word as what those people have been through is a huge insult. Trauma.
We never get to leave that trauma behind.
You never get to leave that trauma behind. You can't get over your trauma because you're carrying it around in the form of excess adipose tissue. Every time you ate your feelings, it was stored right there on your body for you to look at later and be reminded of that time that you ate your feelings. Therefore, your trauma is ever present. Losing all of this excess weight will be part of getting over your trauma, kind of like in the show Hoarders when they finally clean the house. It is also symbolic of cleaning out all the barriers that are stopping you from experiencing a normal and healthy life.
We have to live with that for the rest of our lives.
No, you don't. I'm not going to bring up the Trauma Olympics, but some people have been through much, much, much worse things than you, and they are not crying about it like you and making excuses, man.
And this movement, the issues that we talk about, are dedicated to trying to ease the burden of that trauma, both for ourselves and hopefully for future generations.
How are you going to ease the burden of that trauma? By making videos where you just spout negative nonsense all the time. You guys live in a world of negativity where you fuel each other into negative behavior.
The sect of body positivity, where fat people discuss body size, is the only safe place that we have.
Well, maybe you shouldn't retreat away to a safe space anytime somebody challenges you in your ideals. Perhaps you should confront them head on and debate them. And if you lose this debate, perhaps you should entertain the words that they said. You will have to allow these words to soak into your medulla and your oblongata.
It's a place where we can discuss our issues and show each other support. But thin people have intruded on those safe spaces and made it about reassuring themselves that they're not fat. So yes, we have asked thin people to stay out of those spaces.
When you post things on the public internet, once again, people are going to come along and leave comments on it. It's kind of like you're asking for commentary when you post a video online. You know, if I didn't want people to comment on my videos, I wouldn't post them online. I would just make them, and then I would just watch them, and I would laugh, and I'd be like, oh man, that was hilarious. I'm going to subscribe to myself. And then I would suck on my thumb and take a nap. You know, but that's not how the internet works.
And yes, we are gatekeeping, because your presence in those spaces is harmful.
How dare you gatekeep the fat acceptance community? I want in there. You guys really know how to party. I want to come to your talks. I want to go to the round table talk and talk about how everything is oppressive and some kind of phobia or some nonsense. That sounds like a great time, dude.
We get that you have insecurities and eating disorders, but we are not your punching bags anymore. Take your insecurities and your fat phobia to therapy or to one of the hundreds of spaces designed for you.
No. You hear that, thin people? You need to stay out of fat spaces. There's not enough room for the both of us. Here we've got somebody taking the whole I am oppressed because I am fat thing to a whole nother level. Claiming to be traumatized because of medical weight loss or whatever, going to some sort of weight loss facility or something, and people being like, hey, here's a healthy diet plan that will help you lose weight. Apparently that was disordered eating. Man, they are so dramatic. Imagine if any of these people ever went through anything. Like anything that was actually traumatic in the slightest. They wouldn't even have the vocabulary to describe it, because to them, like going to the dentist was a traumatizing experience or some shit. Like, so, like, if you guys actually went through a war or something horrible happened to you, you would just go into shock. You'd just be like, they would just be sitting there for the rest of forever. Like, you see this chick just sitting there, and you're like, man, what happened to that chick? They're like, she had to swat a fly for the first time. Take it easy on her. She's going to be out of commission for a few weeks. If any of these people ever had to go through anything that was legitimately traumatic, they would lose their mind and never recover. Anyway, that about does it. Thanks for watching, commenting, liking, and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.